All right. What's going on, people? It's your boy Jerk Jerkins right here on WBT 90.1 FM, the beat on the Jerk Jerkins show, man. And yo, we have a very, very, very special guest in the building. None other than mayoral candidate Mrs. Jenn Powell. How you doing, Jen?
It's Miss Powell.
Miss Powell. Okay. Sorry about that. Make sure I get that right off top. And it's crazy because it's hard for me to start the show because we're talking off the air. But that just shows it's like you're bubbling at the seams right now, man, with passion. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the best way to describe it. But anyway, let's get right to it. I gotta say I've been anticipating meeting you. I've been hearing a lot about you. You are, I'd say, the sexy pick right now, if that's okay for me to say. Because like I said, just from social media and just talking to people, I've been hearing a lot, as well as you got an endorsement from the 4As.
Yeah, I got right now. I've got endorsed by the North Central Florida Central Labor Council, which is a few of the labor unions, the 4As. The Gainesville Iguana and the IBEW Local 1205, which is actually my union. So I got that one too.
Cool. So let's kind of give the people a background, just some backstory on who Miss Jenn Powell is. You born and bred right in Gainesville? Huh?
No, I was not. I actually moved here in 1989, the summer before 6th grade. I went to Howard Bishop. Back when they were the Blue Devils. I went to Gainesville High School, so
nice.
The purple
I like you, man. All right, KHS.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, and actually, I was, just a few years before Gillum. He was actually, I think he was a freshman.
Well, me and his younger brother are very close friends.
Okay.
We actually used to go stay at his house on the weekends when we were in high school. I didn't know he'd end up being as big as he was back
exactly.
Then,
Now, I wasn't
he
involved.
always was so special.
I wasn't involved in politics back then. Yeah.
Right.
But I was just trying to get out of there.
Nice. Like, hey, I'm all about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you are a mother of four as well.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, I am. I have a 21-year-old, a 21-year-old daughter, 20-year-old daughter, 17-year-old son, and a 4-year-old.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So back when we were counting down the days till the older kids were out of the house, I got blessed with the most amazing little girl that you could have ever asked for, and she absolutely changed my whole life, and she's been the driving force of me.
I've read that. I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah, me being involved in politics, I realized that the route that we're on right now, if we don't make some radical changes, there's not going to be anything left for the next generation. So, I felt it was important, to get out there and, if you're going to complain, about things, you have to do something about it. So I'd always told people, if you have a problem with the candidates, be one. Be one.
And so I read that you told people that, and I was thinking then when I read it, like, when you tell people something like that, you got to do it.
Yeah,
like,
no, absolutely. And I'm not your typical, your typical candidate. Right. The system is designed for people like me to not be able to run, and I will tell you, this is one of the hardest things I have ever done.
Wow.
Last time when I ran in 2017, I got in on the last day. My campaign was only 47 days long. There wasn't any time to be worried or stressed. It was just, a race to the finish line. And, I came up a little short. I lost by like 919 votes or something like that. So I got 45.6% of the vote. Nice. So clearly my message was resonating with people. So here we are, that was 2017. Here we are, 2019. And most of my platform hasn't changed. All those issues that I ran on in 2017 are still issues today, and in fact, they're getting worse.
That says a lot.
Yeah. So in 2016, in 2015 is when I got involved here locally, and I accidentally became, the leader of the grassroots movement to elect Bernie Sanders. Wow. Now, we lost the primary in Alachua County by 45 votes.
Wow.
45. Yeah, 45 votes. So, I was a Bernie delegate in 2016, and then, we came back from the convention and realized that whoever gets in office whoever gets elected in 2016, we have to strengthen our local government. I had always, paid attention to national politics, like most people. Most people pay attention to national politics when the real decisions that affect your everyday life happen on a local level. So what we did, we came back from the convention, we poured our heart and soul into the local elections, and we got who we got in 2016, and that made me realize we have to create a buffer here locally to protect us from what happens on a federal level, and we can do that. From a local standpoint, we can make sure that we strengthen our local governments to where whatever decisions are being made nationally, we can try to be a buffer to make sure that they have the least amount of effect on on us here.
Understood.
So.
Gainesville is a tricky city.
It is.
Because, from the outside looking in, it looks like, it may look like we're flourishing.
Yeah, right. Well,
so
the people who generally turn out to vote, they are flourishing.
Right.
To them, Gainesville's the greatest place ever.
Right.
But if you talk to, families like mine, or you talk to people who, aren't doing well, the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, the people who are working, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 jobs.
Right.
I know people who are working 4 jobs.
Wow.
And they still can't get by. And what is happening to our families? What is happening to our families when all of your time is spent working? You can't be there to read your kids a bedtime story at night, or you can't be there to sit down at the dinner table like in the old days, because you're struggling to survive. And, nobody's speaking for people like me. Nobody's speaking for people who are at the bottom. And you know what? We are the people who make this city run. Yeah. And if they keep pricing us out of this city, they're all going to have a rude awakening. Who's going to do the work? We live in a city that does not value our workers. In our own city government, we have people who are driving our buses. We have, people who are working in all these departments, and they're struggling too. And it's time to address that. It's time.
Well, you brought up a whole lot of different points that I've noticed about when I was researching you. So I want to just, I guess we'll just start at the top.
Okay.
Because I guess
it started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Exactly.
That song popped in my head the other day. Actually, it started that popped into my head the other day. I know it's true though, and you know what? Just like Bernie says, change is not going to come from the top. It's going to start from the bottom. And if everybody who is struggling in this city, if everybody who is feeling the impacts of all these bad decisions, if we all came together, we could run it.
You're absolutely right, and that's why turnout is so important.
It is very important, and really, it's how I'm going to win. Right. I'm going to win if the people who don't normally show up for city elections, if they show up, we can win this thing. Yeah. We can win this thing in March and not have to go to a runoff. That's what everybody's predicting, a runoff. And, we're trying to figure out who's going to be in that runoff.
I love that.
But you know what? If everybody who's struggling to meet their basic needs, everybody who can't find jobs, everybody who is working 2 or 3 jobs, everybody who has to choose between paying their rent or paying for health care, people who are having to decide between groceries or gas for their car, if everybody who is experiencing that right now, if they all turn out to vote, right now we're early voting. You can go vote right now, and you can go vote tomorrow.
Today.
But if everybody comes out and votes, and everyone votes by March 19th, we could win it flat out on March 19th, and save everybody the trouble of having to go out and work some more for the next month.
That'd be nice. Well, I guess just from hearing the passion in your voice, and any person that was listening to this interview right now, equity seems to be the resounding theme here, right?
And you know what? Mayor Powell, he's run on that the past 10 years, every election. And he's what we talked about right before the show. He ran in 2008. It went to a runoff.
Okay.
And then he won, and then he got voted out.
Yeah.
And then the next year he ran for another seat.
Mm-hmm.
He got into the runoff. Mm-hmm. He did not win flat out. He went to a runoff, and then he got in. Mm-hmm. And then he got voted out. Again. Wow. And then he ran for mayor. He ran for mayor during a presidential primary, of which a whole lot of people were very interested in the 2016 primary, because it was a pretty heated primary.
Very eventful, to say the least.
Yes, absolutely. So, he won. He won flat out in the first time. You know, in the first one, it didn't have to go to a runoff.
Right.
And you know what? To be completely honest, I feel like he rode in on Bernie's coattails, and he has not been a Bernie mayor. You know, when Bernie got elected in Burlington, Vermont, he continued to be reelected.
Absolutely.
Because he was actually doing things that helped all the people in the city, regardless of their income or their party registration. You know, he was a mayor for everybody. And that's what we need. You know, and right now I'll tell you, knocking on doors, people are not happy. They're not happy. And yes, it's true. The mayor is not a miracle worker. The mayor is not a mind reader. You have to communicate. But you know what? We've got a mayor right now that is not being attentive to these people, and I'm hearing it when I'm knocking on doors. So I know I'm hitting a nerve here. Okay.
I feel you. Well, tell me this, because I want to. You mentioned Mr. Powell's his journey, I guess, through local politics here. But you, like you mentioned before, you ran in 2017 for a commission seat.
Well, how about this? Okay, I won my very first election.
Nice.
The delegate election.
Okay.
So now, granted, it was only like 88 votes.
Yeah, but hey,
I beat out. I ran in the district that actually goes. It used to be before they redrew it. I was a part of the 5th district.
Okay.
And so the 5th district went from Jacksonville all the way to Orlando, kind of like weaved around in like the east end of Gainesville down to Orlando. So I beat out all those people who were running,
Nice.
you know, to be a delegate, and you know that was my first election that I won.
Okay.
And then I ran in 2017 because actually Bernie said the way that we're going to change things is people need to get out and they need to run. Regular people need to run for office. And I ran in 2017. The reason I ran in 2017 was because I read a questionnaire that Helen Warren had filled out for the Alachua County Labor Coalition, and I'm a Labor Coalition member. And one of the questions was, what's the biggest obstacle facing working people today? And you know what her answer was?
What was that?
Working people are doing just fine.
Get out of here.
And then she expanded. She said, "What I think you're talking about is low wage earners, and they should just start their own businesses. They could start their own cleaning business, and they could just do this, and they could just do that. No, that's not real life."
I wish I had a tone deaf button.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But when I read that, I said, "Look, this she is not in touch. Yeah. She's not in touch with people's struggles." The article that just came out a few weeks ago in the Gainesville Sun, in Alachua County, over 50% of the residents are living in poverty. They are, it's called ALICE mode, asset limited, income constrained, employed. Wow. Employed is the big kicker right there. They have jobs and they have nothing to fall back on. They have no savings. If any your car breaks down, you get sick, anything. Imagine a death in the family. Yeah, your people are living on the edge. They're living on the edge, and I'll tell you, the desperation that I hear in people's voices, the decisions I see people making. We have to address this, and this isn't new. This is not new. We have been on the top of the income inequality in the country for years. I almost think that's why Bernie came here. A lot of people say, "Oh, thank you, Jenn, for bringing Bernie here." No. It wasn't me who brought him here. I believe he picked the cities that were on those lists. Okay, because he went to a few different cities in Florida, and they were the ones with the most extreme, income inequality. And if you look at that, like income inequality, it means that we have some people who are living on the top, right, and we're doing very well, and then we have people who are not, right. So that gap is big, and it's important. Usually every local campaign, what they do is they focus on super voters, and that's it. Their whole campaigns, their whole campaign is making sure that they get those super voters. And a super voter is somebody who votes in every election.
Right.
So they only talk to super voters, and then they win with only super voters. Well, in 2017, I decided to do something a little bit different. You know, we were trying to not just cater to super voters, but we were trying to create super voters.
Nice.
Trying to educate people to let them know why it's important. You know, you talk to some people and they're like, oh, no, I don't do politics. I don't do politics. And then you gotta tell them, well, your landlord does.
Right.
Your doctor does. You know, all these people, your boss.
Right.
Your
he
boss.
Definitely does.
Your boss does politics. So it's time. It's time. And I'll tell you, we outnumber them. If we could all come together and just set aside all these labels and set all these things meant to divide us, if we could just come together, we outnumber them, and we can actually start making real changes. And I know a lot of people have asked me, oh, what's your plan? What's your plan? I got a lot of plans, and it's not nothing that I can do on my own. It's nothing I can do on my own. It's going to take the community it's going to take the community driving, you know, these policies and making them a reality. And, you know, I think it's high time that we look at this top university who has goals to be a top, you know, they want to be in the top 5. They're already on the top. They want to be a part of the top 5. Well, guess what? We have to start, they have to start giving back. Right. You know, right. I
got it. No, you're good. I don't want to stop you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, okay, but I got you.
It's your show. It's your show, not mine.
No, man.
This is not the Jenn Powell show.
Well, you know. Well, let's get back kind of to your plans, if you really